guys will remember Steve, right? Steve is my friend, famous on this program for Get in the Hole. Well, Get in the Hole, Steve, he and I are in a bit of a dust-up. And I'm not sure it's warranted. I think I'm being treated unfairly. Here's the story. What's it called? All Elite Wrestling, AEW. Okay, new wrestling organization. They're doing a great job. Cody Rhodes at the helm. Perhaps you guys have heard about this, but they're starting to sell out arenas. And now they're doing pay-per-view. And they're starting to make some waves, right? WWE's got some competition. By the way, this is not a wrestling show. Even though I'm covering some, I feel like Brock pertained to MMA. And the fact that I'm telling you about the AEW has very little to do with my show. But Chris Jericho has been on a guest on this show. You guys are familiar with him. I have been a guest on his show. You guys are familiar. Chris Jericho is now a part of the AEW. All right, store this away. I'll tie this all together. So they're going to do a show. I believe it was in Chicago. It doesn't fully matter. The point is, it's going to be on pay-per-view. The show is totally sold out. I don't know what that, does that mean 14,000 people? Does that mean 18,000? This place is packed. They do a great night of business. They bring out all the stars. Anybody you can think of that is not under contract at the WWE made an appearance on some level in this program. Okay. Plus the fans are out looking for something. I mean, there's a lot of things that are really going well for the AEW right now. But it's relevant to the story because Jericho is going to be part of the show. Steve has a niece who loves professional wrestling. She's 16 years old. She's going to the show live. And by the way, just to tell you how much she loves professional wrestling, she either just wrote a book on professional wrestling or she's just finishing a book that she wrote about professional wrestling. So she's an avid fan. So Steve gets a hold of me, says, hey, my niece is going to this show. Could you text Jericho? Could you get a hold of Jericho and see if he could do something for her? And it's like, man, that's a big ask. I would love for that to work out for your niece. But I am very confused with the logistics here, okay? There's 14,000 people. Every single one of them wants to meet Chris Jericho. I imagine he's gotten a few texts like this. I imagine there's no town that he could go to where he doesn't get texts like this or asks for or something annoying, something tough to do, something that would create a lot of work for him. And that's a big ask for me to go to him and ask him to do that because I'm going to look like a fool. And I know I'm going to look like a fool. And I also know I'm not going to get that. And the reason, and I'd love for this to work out for her, but I know that I just can't achieve it, right? It's one of these things, guys, where let's just say Jericho says yes for whatever reason, or maybe, it's me, maybe he does a favor. Let's say he says yes. What happens then? Do I then give her Chris's number so she can contact him directly? Do I send Chris her phone number? Do I get her seat? Do I find out what row, what section, what seat she's in? And maybe Jericho sends the security to go get her. And then they bring her in the back. And he says a hi, hello, and good luck with your book. And they part ways. And I look like a hero for setting this up for Steve for his niece. Is that what happens? I don't know. Maybe that's the answer, but I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts there. Even if I got a yes, there is 14,000 people in a foreign city to Jericho, all of which want to meet him. So what exactly happens? How do I even present this to him? What exactly do I say? There's a gal, you don't know her. By the way, neither do I, but her Uncle Steve's asking a request, and she wrote, what do I say? I send Jared a great long 2-page text message, which gets swiped left, deleted, and then my phone number gets blocked for being annoying. It's a big ask. In fairness, it's a big ask. Of which also I would love to pull off. I would look like a cool guy. The niece, Quincy, would have a fantastic experience. Steve would look like a cool guy. And now the ball would be back in Steve's court. Now he would owe me a favor. I get it. This is the way the world works. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't know how to pull it off, and I have no level of confidence that I can. So I work on a text message. Okay, I can't send Jericho 2 pages. I can't go blow up his voicemail and his inbox. What am I going to do? So I got to condense this down. I got to think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to present it? But at the same time, I'm well aware, even when I finally do have about the 5 or 6 sentences that I'm going to text him and trust that even a busy guy that's flying and traveling is going to have time to read. Even when I do this, I'm well aware that it then invokes a follow-up. Hey, Chael, sure. Little bit annoying, but I'll do it for you. You're going to owe me. Whatever happens. However nice he wants to be or however much he wants to punch me right in the mouth and go, man, this is a dick move by you, but I'll do it. Total stranger to me, underage girl. I'll do it. What happens next? How do I put the two of them together? Does Steve at all imagine that Jericho, while doing his segment in the ring, is going to shout her out on the microphone during the pay-per-view? And I don't know. I'm not putting that. I don't know what he expected. Big ask. And I made it for him. Cool move by me. Cool move by me. In fairness, right? No, not so fast. So Jericho doesn't do it. Jericho didn't respond in any fashion. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit busy too. I did not then go back to Steve and say, hey, that isn't going to happen. I decided that when it did not happen, he would elect himself mayor of Get the Hintville and understand that it's not going to happen. Well, no, that's not the way it worked, because the pay-per-view was on Saturday, and when Sunday morning rolls around, I wake up to about 15 text messages where I'm getting told off. In fact, rewind that. I wake up to one text message that simply says, what happened last night with Jericho, and like 5 question marks. So I don't respond. Then I get an emoji text with an arrow that's pointing up to the previous text that said, what happened last night to Jericho, and 5 question marks. So I write back and say, isn't it a little bit obvious? We got blown off. We asked a guy for a ridiculous favor and we got blown off. I understand it. How did you not understand it? And why is it that we even need to talk about it? And he said, well, when we got blown off, all you had to do was send me a text message. Hey, tried. Jericho's real busy. Never heard back. But you didn't do that. And then he goes and now the floodgates are open. And now I get told off to the highest of level. I get everything you could imagine, from, hey, you don't care about me. You didn't want to do the favor. You look down upon my niece. I thought that was a little extreme. Not for nothing. The only level opportunity that I had here to make a very, very hard ask come through was to pass the ask on, which I was a little uneasy about, if I'm to be fair with you guys, because I did think it would make me reflect poorly on Jericho. I happen to respect him. I happen to be a fan. I happen to not want to look like a jerk who's begging for something from Jericho. And that is a beg. I mean, that's a big ask, right? The guy is out there in a professional capacity. He is out there to make money. He is working and he is performing. I'm asking him to stop all of those things. It was a little bit uncomfortable, but I did it. I did think I should have been told off. Steve then went even further. Now, don't forget, this is the get in the hole guy. This is the get in the hole. So things could be tough. He could be clever, he could be creative, but he could also be very mean. And I mean, this went on to the extent where he was saying, Chael, and he was talking to me as though I was some high and mighty that viewed myself as a high and mighty, viewed myself as the one that wielded the power. Now, this is actually in writing. I'm almost tempted to hold up my phone and read the messages to you guys, but I think I'm doing a better job paraphrasing for it instead of reading what would take me about 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, a lot of text messages came through. It was coming from the position that I viewed myself as a higher level or a higher class of society that would not do this favor for the proletariat class. That I was the bourgeois and this is the proletariat class that I look down upon. Wait a second, first off, that's not true. That's just simply not true. And secondly, I did do it. I feel like that's the part that's getting left out here. I now look like a fool to Jericho, okay? I can't go back to Jericho with something. The next time I talk to Jericho, I need to be offering him something, okay? There's a Bellator in town. I'm getting ready to fight in New York. I read something. I find out Jericho's going to be in New York. I go offer him front row tickets. Hey, Chris, heard you're in town, Love to set you with some tickets if you want to come out taking a great show. It has to be something like that. I can't go back with an ask. I look like a fool because it was a ridiculous ask. So I not only get to look like a fool to Jericho for something that wasn't even my ask, I now get to be the bad guy in the story with Steve. And somehow the illusion is now created that I was wielding some type of power over them. I'm looking at going, that's just not what happened. You asked me to do something. I did have a level of power because I had his number and nothing else other than his number. Seems like old Chael might be getting treated a little bit unfairly here. What do you guys think?